You know what the worst feeling in consumer tech is? It's not buying a bad product. A bad product you return the next day. No, the worst feeling is buying a great product, dropping 2 or 3 grand on a flagship 65-inch TV, and then 18 months later realizing it's already obsolete. I'm seeing it happen right now. We are standing at a weird cliff edge in 2026. The marketing teams, they're screaming about 8K, they're screaming about AI enhancements, but they aren't telling you about the bottleneck. They aren't telling you that the panel you just bought might not have the bandwidth to handle the PlayStation 6. They aren't telling you that high brightness on the box doesn't mean anything when the new HDR mastering standards hit next year. Most of the TVs on this wall behind me, they look incredible today, but in 3 years, 3 short years, half of them are going to feel slow, dim, and frustratingly unconnected. We need to find the one that won't. And look, that's why we do this. We don't take free review units from manufacturers because I need to be able to tell you when a $3,000 Sony has a fatal flaw or when a budget TCL is actually beating a Samsung. If you want truth over hype, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. It helps us keep buying these panels so we can tear them apart and tell you what's actually inside. All right, let's talk about future-proofing. Okay, before we even look at a panel, we need to talk about the invisible wall you're about to hit. For the last 5 years, HDMI 2.1 was the gold standard, 48 gigabits per second. It felt infinite, but in 2026, with the PS5 Pro pushing high-fidelity VRR and PC graphics cards hitting 240 Hz at 4K, that pipe is full. We are starting to see whispers of HDMI 2.2, 96 gigabits per second leaking into monitor specs. Why does this matter? Because if you buy a TV today that struggles to do full 48 gigabits per second on all 4 ports, you are effectively buying a 720p TV in a 4K world. You are capping your future performance before you even unbox the thing. Most manufacturers are still giving you only 2 high-speed ports. One of them is your eARC port for your soundbar. That leaves 1 port for your console. If you get a second console, you're swapping cables like it's 2005. That is not future-proof. That is a chore. Let's start with the TV that everyone thinks is the answer, the default recommendation, the LG G5. This is the evolution of the G4, and on paper, it is the perfect OLED. LG has finally moved away from the confusing MLA branding in some regions and is calling this Brightness Booster Ultimate, or tandem stack tech. Essentially, they're stacking layers to pump out light without frying the organic pixels. But here's the reality of living with the G5 for 3 weeks. First, the good news. The 5-year panel warranty is real. If you are terrified of burn-in, if you watch CNN or play HUD-heavy games for 6 hours a day, this is the only TV on this list that legally protects you. That is a massive mental safety net. And the processing? The new Alpha 11 chip is ridiculous. I watched 720p sports streams that looked like native 4K. It cleans up macro blocking better than anything Sony did last year. But, and this is a big but for 2026, the pink tint is still there. LG uses a very aggressive anti-reflective coating. In a pitch black room, it's invisible. But if you have a window to the side, the reflection isn't white, it's a distraction purple-pink smear. It changes the color temperature of the whole quadrant. And brightness? It hits about 2200 nits on a tiny 2% window. That sounds like a lot, but compared to the mini LEDs we're going to look at in a minute, it looks polite. The G5 is the safe bet. It has 4 full HDMI 2.1 ports, thank you LG. It does 165 Hz, which is perfect for PC gamers, but it lacks that raw, violent punch that you need for daytime viewing. It feels like a cinema screen, refined, accurate, and a little bit fragile. If you're a purist, you buy this. If you want your TV to scream at you, you skip it. Here's a question for the comments, and I'm serious, I read them all within the first hour. Are you actually scared of burn-in anymore, or is that just 2018 trauma speaking? Because with a 5-year warranty, I feel like we can finally stop babying these screens. Let me know below. Now, let's talk about the TV that decided safety was for cowards. Let's talk about the Samsung S95F. Okay, stop scrolling for a second. We need to talk about the Samsung S95F. If you walk into a Best Buy right now, this is the TV that will stop you in your tracks. It doesn't just output color, it weaponizes it. This is QD OLED, quantum dot OLED. Unlike the LG we just looked at, which uses a white subpixel to boost brightness and dilutes the color volume, this thing uses pure red, green, and blue. When you see a laser blast in Star Wars or a neon sign in Cyberpunk 2077, the S95F hits a level of saturation that other TVs physically cannot reach. It is the most next-gen looking image on the market, period. And for my gamers, this is your end game. 165 Hz refresh rate, not 120, not 144, 165. If you have a PC rig or you're banking on the PS6 pushing higher frames, this panel is faster than your eyes. But we have to talk about the screen coating. Samsung is doubling down on this glare-free matte finish. And look, I get the engineering. If you have a window right behind your couch, this coating is magic. It eats reflections. It turns a bright window into a soft, diffuse blob. But there is a cost, a heavy one. In a pitch-black room, that matte finish raises the black floor. It doesn't look like that infinite ink you buy OLED for. It looks flat. It looks like a very, very expensive canvas painting. Text isn't quite as razor sharp. The image lacks that wet, glossy depth that makes movies feel premium. And then there's the software, Tizen OS.
Why does it take 4 clicks to change an input? Why are there ads for laundry detergent on my $2,700 TV home screen? Samsung hardware is Ferrari grade. Their software is a billboard on the side of a highway. If you buy the S95F, you are buying it for the panel. You are ignoring the software, you are accepting the matte look, and you are living without Dolby Vision because Samsung is too stubborn to pay the license fee. Now, if you are sitting there thinking, Chris, I have kids, I leave the news on for 4 hours, I don't want to babysit an OLED panel, then you need to look at the Sony Bravia 9. This is not an OLED, this is mini LED, and in 2026, Sony has basically solved the technology. This TV is a light cannon. It hits 4,000 nits of peak brightness. For context, the LG G5 hits 2,000. This thing is literally twice as bright. If you watch football on Sunday afternoon with the sun blasting in, the Bravia 9 doesn't care. It overpowers the sun. But the real future-proof feature here isn't the brightness, it's the processor. Streaming bit rates are garbage. Netflix, HBO, YouTube, they are compressing 4K down to nothing to save bandwidth. The Sony XR processor is the only chip that genuinely reconstructs that missing data. It makes a 10 Mbps stream look like a 40 Mbps Blu-ray. That is what keeps a TV looking good in 2029. But I am angry at this TV. This is a flagship product. It costs nearly $3,000, and yet, turn it around, 2. You only get 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, and one of them is the eARC port for your soundbar. That means if you have a soundbar, you have 1 port left for high-speed gaming. 1. If you own a PS5 and an Xbox, you are swapping cables. If you own a PC and a PS5, you are buying an expensive switcher. It's 2026, Sony. This is unacceptable. It's a bottleneck that makes a futuristic TV feel like it's stuck in the past.
So, you have the safe bet, LG, the color bomb, Samsung, and the light cannon, Sony. But there is one more option, the one that costs half as much, the one that makes you question if these flagships are even worth it. This is the TCL QM8 Gen 3, and this is the reason Sony and Samsung are sweating, because right now you can buy this 65-inch monster for $1,400. That is literally half the price of the Bravia 9 we just looked at. And on paper, it humiliates the flagships. 5,000 dimming zones, 5,000 nits peak brightness, 144 Hz VRR. If you just read the spec sheet, this is the best TV in the world. But specs are lies, or at least they're only half the story. When things are still, the TCL looks incredible. The contrast is deep, the blacks are ink, it punches way above its weight class. But the second things start moving, the illusion breaks. The processor inside this TCL is trying its best, but it just can't keep up with the mini LED backlight. You get ghosting behind fast objects. You get weird flickering in dark scenes where the TV can't decide if it should be bright or dark. And if you watch low-quality cable TV, it looks soft. It looks like a painting of a TV show, not the show itself. But here's the brutal truth. Is the Sony Bravia 9 better? Yes. Is it $1,600 better? No. If you're just streaming Netflix, playing some Call of Duty, and watching movies with the lights off, the TCL gets you 90% of the way there. The difference is in the polish. The Sony feels like a precision instrument. The TCL feels like a muscle car with loose steering. It's fast, it's loud, it's fun, but it's a little dangerous. Okay, let's wrap this up, because you have to live with this decision for the next 5 years. Here's the truth bomb. There is no perfect TV in 2026. Every single one of these has a fatal flaw that the marketing team is hiding. The Samsung has bad software and no Dolby Vision. The Sony has port anxiety and a terrifying price tag. The LG is dim and has that pink tint. The TCL has motion issues. So you aren't picking the best TV, you're picking the flaw you can live with.
If you are a gamer, you buy the Samsung S95F. Forget the OS. Buy an Apple TV or a Shield if you hate Tizen. But that 165Hz QD OLED panel is the only thing that will keep up with the PlayStation 6 or an RTX 6090. The colors are addictive. The response time is instant. It is the only choice for a dedicated gaming room. If you have a bright living room, you buy the Sony Bravia 9. Do not buy an OLED. I don't care what the salesman says. If you have sunlight hitting your screen, OLEDs die faster and look worse. The Bravia 9 is built like a tank. It will look just as bright and punchy in 2031 as it does today. It is the forever TV. Just buy an HDMI switch if you have 2 consoles. If you want peace of mind, you buy the LG G5. It's not the brightest, it's not the most colorful, but it is the most reliable. The 5-year panel warranty is worth its weight in gold. The OS just works. It supports every format: Dolby Vision, DTS, G-Sync. It is the Honda Accord of high-end TVs. It will never let you down, even if it doesn't thrill you quite like the Samsung. And if you just want value, buy the TCL QM8. Use the $1,500 you saved to buy a killer sound system. Because honestly, a 90% perfect picture with 100% perfect sound beats a perfect picture with TV speakers every single time. One last thing. The panels I tested today, they are the launch panels. Manufacturers sometimes swap parts 6 months later, changing the panel type, downgrading the ports, without changing the model number. It is shady, and it happens every year. I've linked the specific verified SKU numbers in the description below. Those links go to the batches we confirmed are the real deal. If you buy through them, it helps us keep tracking this stuff. If you don't, just double check the model code on the box before you open it. Seriously, don't get burned. I'm Chris Walker. I'll see you in the next one.